All right, I am at Nun Park and I'm taking the Bonneville Shoreline Trail from Nun Park. It's a really pretty trail. To give you like the history of the Bonneville Shoreline Trail, it's over 200 miles long, and it's actually the eastern shore of what used to be Lake Bonneville, which has dwindled down to be the Great Salt Lake. And it's left a lot of relics, including this little line that they've made a trail of, which is now what we call the Bonneville Shoreline Trail. And it kind of weaves in and out of all the canyons in the Wasatch Mountains. It stretches from Idaho all the way down to Nephi, Utah. I would compare it to parts of the John Muir Trail and some other places that you might know of. We're gonna turn on to the trail here in a second. Along the Provo River Trail in Provo Canyon, you've got all sorts of waterfalls. And then there's one along the Bonneville Shoreline Trail called Bridesmaids Falls. One of the other relics that has been left by Lake Bonneville is the Salt Flats out by Wendover. They're world famous for speed records, for just their epic views. Pretty cool. So here's the Bonneville Shoreline Trail cutoff. And so you'll see me turn here. Hopefully you get to see a little bit of the scenery in the background. Now I'm trying to get better at trail vlogging, and I was probably gonna do this trail anyways, but I was approached by an organization, Conserve Utah Valley, and they wanted me to do this video. So I want to give you an idea of how cool this trail is and how easy it is to hike and how flat it is. And there's so much to do and see, and you can do little segments here and little segments there. Lake Bonneville used to be so big, it was actually freshwater ocean. And now, because it has no outlet, it's been leaving all these mineral deposits, and as a result it's super salty. Salt Lake is like 3 to 6 times saltier than the ocean, and so nothing grows as far as fish and things like that. The only thing they have in there is brine shrimp, which people collect, but I have no idea why. This is the perfect launching point for the Bonneville Shoreline Trail. There's a couple other good spots that I'm familiar with. There is the Rock Canyon section in Provo, above the Provo Temple, and that's the Rock Canyon section from Rock Canyon Park. I've actually got a little video that I can show you of that area. And then in Provo there's another stretch that you can take that is from Slate Canyon Park. There's a famous trail called the Y Trail, and that trail goes up to the letter Y above BYU, Brigham Young University. And there's several parking lots. If you go to the very top parking lot, that is where the trailhead for the Y Trail is. But if you go to one of the lower parking lots, you can also connect to the Bonneville Shoreline Trail, and you can ride bikes on that stretch. This part of the trail is pretty cool because it gives you a really good view of the mountains. So directly across from me is actually Mount Timpanogos, the very lower part. And to get here to Nun Park and be able to hike this section, you actually go on Highway 189, which is University Avenue, and turn into the canyon. And then it's about 3 miles to 4 miles in. And if you kept going on that paved trail down there, that would actually take you to Bridal Falls. It would take you to Upper Falls. You could cross under the highway at Nun Park, and you could go to Lost Horse Creek Falls. I've got some video coming up of that one. And there's just all these beautiful cliffs, there's all these stunning waterfalls, and there's trails for days. Some of them are kind of steep, you got to be careful. But this Bonneville Shoreline Trail, pretty tame. It is definitely one I would recommend taking your kids on. So there's been a lot of people that have been trying to cut off access or privatize certain places. And so we definitely need to stand up and keep things public. We need places where our kids can go and learn about nature, get outdoors, stretch their muscles, and see these places that I honestly believe bring us closer to our religion, to our spirituality, and help us to cope with all these challenges we face on a day-to-day basis. It feels like we're bombarded with a lot of strife, with a lot of anger, with a lot of problems that we might not even be causing, but we all affect each other. And I think if people just stood back and took a moment, got out of their town, and went somewhere and really pondered what they were doing, I think the world would be a way better place. It'd be a lot less complicated. There'd be a lot less contention and a lot less war. We have so much stress. We break under pressure. We can only take so much. And so these places are so important for our health, and we don't even always realize it. You know, last year, during the heart of the pandemic, everyone was sitting in their house, and there's places where people live where they don't have this kind of luxury. They don't have a place to get outside to and distance themselves from other people. But if you have that luxury, you've got to take it. You're doing yourself a disservice if you don't. I strongly believe that. And I probably went on about 40 hikes last year, some of them the same one. I probably hiked nearly 120 miles total during the summer, and it helped me get through the year. And I was able to really get into a fun project, which is YouTube, and be able to show you these amazing places that you don't always get a chance to go to. I feel so blessed to live here in Utah. There's so much beauty everywhere, and I don't know what I'd do without it. I can drive 10 minutes and be in the mountains. I can drive 20 minutes and be in the desert. I've got a huge lake right next to me, and I've got this beautiful mountain range, the Wasatch. If you want to have a challenge and do something epic, something that a lot of people do but just is really good, I recommend hiking Mount Timpanogos. That is quite the experience. It's a beautiful trail. It's beautiful wilderness. If you've ever hiked in the Sierras in California, it would be a similar experience. Those wilderness areas are precious, and it's important not to abuse them, to maintain them in the same condition that they've always been in, so that the wildlife and other people, future generations, can enjoy them. You can hear all the birds in the bushes. Right now it's the heart of spring and everything is greening up. There's so many things to do with your family. There's no reason not to look into camping Also on the horizon is the paddleboarding season. And now that I have my drone, I couldn't be more excited. It's gonna be fantastic. Fishing would be good right now. The ice is almost off the upper lakes. And right now, as you can see, there's no crowds. I've run into 3 people so far on this trail. If I were to come here in a month, there would be so many people on this trail, which is okay. But sometimes it is nice to just have some peace and quiet and not to have to worry about avoiding people. I love it. One of the cool things about filming videos is normally if I was just doing a trail here and there, I wouldn't push myself as much. But I do things fast to get them filmed. And it really pushed me last year. And when you're hiking, preparation is a huge thing. Because I hear so many people that talk about how difficult Mount Timpanogos, for instance, is. And there was one stretch that wore me out. I will admit that. And that's the rockfall area behind the summit. And I'm going to try to find a way around that this year so that people can show how to get around it. Because I prepared for that hike. And for the most part, because I was prepared for it, it was an easy hike. And I really enjoyed it. The scenery was the best I've seen since I hiked in Yosemite and up Mount Whitney. It was epic. And I would recommend that everyone that possibly can at least try to get to the saddle. And if you want a little bit of an easier trail, there's the Timpanogos Trail. But you still got to be prepared, because that hike could have been miserable for me, and it really wasn't. I had harder hikes, I believe, earlier in the season that were shorter, and it really got me prepared. So I'll make a video of some good hikes to prep for Mount Timpanogos. And that way, if you want to train for that epic challenge, you can. I highly recommend that mountain. The river here in Provo Canyon, the Provo River, is a stunning sight. It's got world-class fishing. Now, I know if you're from Alaska, obviously, from Montana, places in Montana and Idaho and ever Washington, wherever, I know there is some better fishing out there, but there's not very many places that offer that scenery and that accessibility to a town with that quality of a fishery. People pull out some good fish out of that river, and it's really fun to just walk around in your waders and do your thing. And that's coming from a guy who can angle but sucks at fly fishing, and I don't even care, because it's still fun. Sunset is my favorite time of day, as I've mentioned so many times before. I really just love it. You get such beautiful golden light, and there's just something so sacred about it to me. So this is the turnoff for Bridesmaids Falls behind me, but I'm not going that way. I am gonna go up the trail a little ways further and see what we get. I've not been past that point. We are nearly a mile in. One of the hardest things when you do a lot of hiking is in the winter time to stay in shape. I really tried. I didn't succeed very well. So now I have to get used to hiking all over again. But it'll be worth it later on this summer. I did take up snowshoeing in the wintertime, and that was fun. You get to go on some fun little trails, and you don't slide around very much or anything. It's kind of fun to experiment. This is the first time I've actually put myself on camera while I hike. I don't know how it'll look, but I'm excited to see. Well, I think I'm gonna stop and throw you out a little drone coverage of the area at sunset, and then head back to the car for a wrap-up. Thanks for joining me. And if you like this content, please subscribe to Video Recon and hit that like button. And we'll catch you on the next video.